Tomasio here on the day of the day that David Bowie died. Okay, R.I.P. David Bowie. All right, listen. Michael Voris is going absolutely ballistic. Okay, listen to this.
Dolan acknowledged the fact that she had sent him this horrible, salacious email with just disgusting.
That's Michael Voris
disgusting details
coming out today that half of the priests and bishops are gay.
Prostitute Keith, that's how much money being taken, and embezzlement, lots of embezzlement. So they asked him, and he said, "Well, we were going to have this meeting, and we're going to get into all of this."
Talking about Cardinal Dolan.
She just didn't show up. Now that was him. He acknowledges the email and the content in it, so much so that he says he turned it over to the DA's office. And he acknowledged that a meeting was set up. She had contacted them. And then he says, "Oh, well, she just didn't show up. Or can I want to make sure that the New York Archdiocese hears this coming from this studio right now. We know, and we know that you know, that there are homosexual priests living with their gay lovers in various rectories in the Archdiocese of New York. We know that. You know that. You know that we know that. And when we're done with this case, or as we continue this case, we're coming after every one of those two. You clear out that homosexual collective running the church in New York and in many other places around the country, or we and faithful Catholics all around the country will clear it out for you." So here's the situation in a nutshell. The American Catholic Church is largely controlled by homosexual clergy and their allies. Those not in the network are powerful.
Now listen, you heard that.
To its vast influence and
he's coming.
As well as not.
Voris is coming to get the gay priests and bishops out.
Disgusting details of the sexual life.
Let's listen one more time what he said. This is very important. You have got to listen.
Money being taken and embezzlement. Lots of embezzlement.
Now he threatens.
And he said, "Well, we were going to have
this meeting, the homosexual priests.
But then she just didn't show up."
He's saying he's coming after you.
He acknowledges the email
it sounds
and the
to
content
me
in it, so much so that he says he turned it over to the DA's
like
office.
Voris
And he acknowledged that a meeting
is going after your jobs and your housing.
And then he says, "Oh, well,
he doesn't want you living in."
I want to make sure that the New York Archdiocese hears this.
Listen,
coming
what
from
is he saying? He's
right
going to
now.
take the homosexuals out of their housing?
And we know that you know that there are homosexual priests living with their gay lovers in various rectories in the Archdiocese of New York. We know that. You know that. You know that we know that. And when we're done with this case, or as we continue this case, we're coming after every one of those two. You clear out that homosexual collective running the church in New York and in many other places around the country, or we and faithful Catholics all around the country will clear it out for you.
All right. He said, you clear it out, the homosexual collective. Clear out the homosexual collective. So he's saying, fire them. He doesn't want them living in the church property, the rectories. Homosexuals. Voris is threatening to come after the homosexuals if Cardinal Dolan doesn't. Listen again.
We know that. You know that. You know that we know that. And when we're done with this case, or as we continue this case, we're coming after every one of those two. You clear out that homosexual collective running the church in New York and in many other...
All right, we're coming after you. Clear out the homosexual collective in New York.
Places around the country, or we and faithful Catholics all around the country will clear it out for you.
We will clear it out for you.
So here's the situation in a nutshell.
Okay, so he's telling Cardinal Dolan to clear out the homosexual priests. Get rid of the homosexual priests. And if you don't do it, Voris is going to do it with his group. Okay. All right, so you got it, right? This is very important. Why is it very important? Because Michael Voris is talking some heavy-duty trash here. I mean, listen. Voris is calling, it's like he's calling for a crusade against homosexual priests who were living in church property. He wants them cleared out. Now, what do you do with this? Is this Is he right? Is he wrong? You know, is being a homosexual, you shouldn't be living in the rectory if you're a homosexual, even though you're a priest? I mean, this is very, very serious. Okay, now if I was a gay priest, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this guy's going after my job. He's going after my, living situation. And, this is, so what's the cardinal going to do? How is he going to respond? Because Voris is claiming that he's going after these guys. And you could see he was fired up. Michael Voris was very, very fired up. So he's had enough. He said he was abused when he was at Notre Dame. He was abused by a priest, uh, like sexual letters he was receiving from the priest, and the priest didn't even identify himself right away. And then Voris found out who it was, and then the priest turned on him. I mean, it was disaster. Voris said he was sitting behind a table. He wanted to go after the guy. But because there was a table in between him and this priest, he was going after the priest. That's what Voris said. So what happens is, so Voris was like, he said, I was very innocent and very, like Catholic, and then I was so scandalized. It was his heart was broken. I mean, he was robbed of his purity. His vision of the church was just blasted away by a priest who was pursuing him with sexual content on letters and stuff like that. So, you know, Voris, let's presume Voris is heterosexual, and he's a heterosexual Catholic virgin, probably. You know what I mean? Raised in a very Catholic. Because when he went to Notre Dame, he said he was just shocked and scandalized. So he had to come from a pretty sheltered, uh, childhood in regards to sexuality. There's no question about it. So he gets to Notre Dame, and it's like, oh my gosh! Not only is it, the priests are corrupt, and so anyway, Voris was very upset. He's clearly upset, and you can see that Voris is extremely sensitive to gay priests. He doesn't feel comfortable with gay priests in the church, and he's coming after the gay priests. So, this is I really think everyone really needs to pray about this. If 50% of the priests in New York are gay, like Voris is claiming, and he's coming after you, I mean, if this is just beyond anything I've ever heard before. And Voris I wouldn't doubt for a second. I think he's really serious. So please pray. Cardinal Dolan's got to step up. Cardinal Dolan he should meet with Michael Voris. Dolan should meet with Michael Voris, and they should talk about this. They really should. And if they need to have their attorneys present, let them each have an attorney present, because this is very, very serious. This is very serious. I've never seen Michael Voris so fired up in all my life. Okay, I never have. So this is a victim who's tired of it. He's just tired of priests engaged in his sexual life. And he didn't mention the heterosexual priests. I'm sure there's heterosexual priests who are sexually active, but he's worried about the homosexual priests. All right, thank you.